If you want to learn how to paint your full jungle tile, you're in the right place. My name's Frank Diorio. You're watching DioramaWorkshop.com. Okay, so we're making a full jungle tile. You're going to be using two tints of green. I use Christmas green and hunter green, but it doesn't matter if you don't have these exact colors, as long as you have one dark base and a lighter base. That's what matters. So we have to start with the dark base. We want to cover this gray tile with green. So you want to shake your bottle, and then we're going to put some green paint in our container. Always start with a little bit of paint. You don't want to put the whole bottle because it dries really quick. So just a small amount, just like you see in the center. I painted a tile before, that's why there's green around it. But you just need that small amount. You're going to grab your sponge with the yellow side is what you want to use. We're going to do a plop streak technique that I invented. So you dab your paint first, okay, on your sponge, and what you're going to do is you're going to plop, and then we're going to streak. So plop. This applies your paint, and then you streak, and then it makes it even. So don't forget these edges because that's part of the build as well. You don't want to press too hard because you're going to be scraping off all the paint that you put. It's normal to see some of the back or the rear color of the gray because it's the first coat only. So now a bit more paint. Plop. Streak. Remember to plop these corners. Right? Then when you run out of paint, you just shake it a little bit more, and then put a little bit extra. Then your sponge. Plop. Streak. Bit more paint. Plop. We can flip this around. Unless you're left-handed, you're working the other way. More paint. Plop. Streak. Okay, oops. Now we can flip it around, go back where we started. Need a bit more paint. We're working with acrylic paint, so if you get paint on your fingers, don't worry, it comes off really easy with water. So more paint again. And we do the same thing again. Plop. Streak. Do a very light streak. Just enough so that it stretches the paint across without removing too much paint from underneath. But see how the second coat creates a bit darker? Here we have the second coat, first coat. Plop. Streak. And if you have two tones like this, it's actually good. You don't want to cover too thick of paint because that will warp your tile, and at the same time it'll take forever to dry, and you don't really need that much paint since you're going to be covering this with palm trees and bushes later on. So some more paint. It's always better to add more, little at a time, whoops, than to empty the whole bottle and have everything dry for the next person who won't have any paint left. Now we can flip this again. Some paint here. Plop, 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 plop. Streak. And I'm almost putting no pressure. I'm really like letting the sponge float. Right? Just like that. If I was pressing too hard, it would make a big mess. And it would remove all of the paint. You'd see the same color as what I did before. So, plop, 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 plop. Streak, 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 streak. Remember, at the top, edges, very important. This is done. So now we're going to create the texture effect with the two-tone paint, which really brings your tile to life. So we go to choose the light color green now. Shake that. Place just a little bit on your plate or your surface over here. Now you're going to grab two sponges. In order to create the texture, you're going to be using the dark green side of your sponge because it's rough and it has all these little spikes. So this will help create a two-tone that you'll see in a little while. And then you use the yellow side for the stamping. Now the stamping is basically just hitting the surface, pow, 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 like this, in order to, one, help blend the paints, and two, accelerate the drying at the same time. So let's start with the texturing. So what you want to do is you want to put some of the paint on your sponge, but this is too much paint. You want to get some of it off. So take some of the excess by dabbing it on the side. Here's where we put the paint. So just dab on the side like this. So there's less paint. Okay? Now you see how the texture of the sponge will make it that it's going to create all these little bumps on the tile instead of a flat paint like we did for the base. So if I press just lightly, do you see that? And what you want to do is you want to rotate your sponge at the same time. You don't want to just go in one direction because then it'll be like a copy paste in Photoshop or whatnot, and it'll just look like the same texture all over the place. So what you want to do is you just want to rotate your sponge like this so that you can't really tell where the sponge started and where it stopped. Now, don't try to cover everything in one shot. You want to do little zones. I usually do it in 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can do little retouches after. So see how with the sponge I created the texture. Now I'm going to use this side to pound and blend it together. So you just pound like this, just lightly. You see how it starts to blend? Continue, put some more paint, rotate the sponge, then pound. you run out of paint, a little more paint. Just a little bit. There's a big glob blocking my paint. Okay. Same technique. Take the excess off on the side. Okay. Rotate the sponge. Don't forget the edges. Pounding. One last bit of paint, shake this. Remember, always the spiky green side for the application. And the soft yellow side for the pounding. Now we worked all the sides. If you want to tweak some more, feel free. You can add a bit more texture here, texture there. Remember to pound it. And there you go. The painting step is completed. Now you can go to the next tutorial to see how to assemble your jungle. Thanks for watching DioramaWorkshop.com. If you want more interactivity, you can follow us on these multimedia platforms. If you have a question about past or future Star Wars Celebration workshops, send me an email at dioramaworkshop.com@gmail.com. If you have a Facebook account, join the official Star Wars Celebration Diorama Builders fan club today. If you liked the video, please subscribe, share, and tell your friends to come check us out. If you want to see even more Star Wars Celebration crew coverage, click on the link to warp to dioramaworkshop.com, the official Star Wars Celebration Diorama Builders website.